How's it going, everyone? I'm the Zabin, and thank you so much for hopping on in. Honestly, this is a video that I think maybe not a lot of us, including myself, really thought I would be making, but this is something that's kind of eating me up and is bothering me because is this something that's affecting me? And it's definitely more so affecting a lot of other people, and I kind of just wanted to talk about it here. And that's basically the remote raid pass situation going on in Pokemon Go right now. If you guys don't know, Pokemon Go, right? It's a mobile game. You have these things called raids where you go to a certain location, right? I think near me, there's like a park somewhere, somewhere down by the main street. There's like a clock, which is considered a gym for some reason, right? And people would meet up at those locations whenever a raid starts. We would all get in, join a group, and we would battle a Pokemon, right? And then by the end, we would have a chance to catch the Pokemon and keep it for ourselves and etc. So, pretty good old time. But there's two ways of joining a raid. There's a raid pass, which means you go in person and you participate in the raid. And there's a remote raid pass, which means that you can battle in that raid from wherever in the world. Literally, you could be, I'm in Chicago and I can go participate in a raid using the remote raid that is happening in Japan, right? Japan, I can participate in a raid using a remote raid. It's great. The thing is, and I can understand Niantic's view on why they're doing this. Niantic decided to change the price of the remote raid passes, right? One of them used to be just 100 coin or equal to $1 and 3 would be 300, right? Makes sense. And they decided to change the pricing on that. So now for one, you have to pay 195 of the coins, and then if you want a 3-pack, you have to pay 525. So now all of a sudden, if I want just one pass, I'm paying nearly $2, and if I want 3, I am paying literally $2.25 more than usual. It's like greedy in a way. It's like, hey, yeah, give us more money. But another issue is, and this is a biggie, is they limit how many you can use a day. So basically, not only are you paying more to do the raid, you could only do 5 a day, which really doesn't make sense. Now, Niantic is saying the reason why they're doing this is because they want us, the community, the players and stuff, to basically get out more, right? Be active with each other, participate, and do X, Y, Z. And I understand that. That's good. We should be going out. That is the main purpose of the game, is us going out and playing the way the game is intended. However, there's a lot of people who really cannot do that, and they're not even just that, but there's people who even struggle doing that. In my situation, and I know this will be the same for a lot of people, getting into a raid with enough people is difficult. Okay, at the moment, like by myself, I can do maybe some level 3 raids, and then I can do basically all level 1 raids, right? I could do that by myself. I don't really need people for that. But now, if I wanted to do the other half of the level 3 raids, or a level 4, or a level 5, or a level 6, right? I need plenty of people who like grind the game or whatnot in order to be able to complete those raids, right? And the thing is, I live in a suburb, and it is super difficult to find people that are doing raids, like I always see, gyms changing teams and, new Pokemon coming in and out. But there is quite literally like never a time ever where I go and do a raid and I meet up with people. And even then, like when has that ever happened for me? And I think that's the same situation for a lot of people, and that's kind of why they invest in these remote raids, because they know, hey, I'm trying to do raids, but I don't have enough people, or it's a struggle, right? Or not only that, maybe you made friends with people who do play, but they live in another state. So there's a bunch of different situations on why it's difficult. Personally, again, it's just there's not enough people in my area that play and do raids at the time that I'm doing them. So it doesn't even really seem worth putting the time and effort to go into these raids, right? Doesn't make sense. So for other people, and I could definitely see where the issue comes from, a lot of other people have responsibilities, even myself included. I have a lot of things that I have to do, right? So it's definitely a struggle to just, oh, hey, yeah, let me just go drop everything, go do a raid. You know, I got stuff to do. I'm creating content for Twitch. I'm trying my best to upload to YouTube. I'm trying to keep up with friends. I'm keeping up with family. I got to think about work. I can think about myself, right? Like I got to manage all these different things, you know, all at once. And it's, you know, I don't necessarily have a bunch of time to just go out and do stuff, right? So it's just a lot more convenient for me to get a remote raid pass, join a raid that's down the block or whatever, tap, 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 get the Pokemon. It's just a lot easier. I don't need to get up and get away from the content I'm creating for you guys just to do that, unless I'm creating like Pokemon Go content, but maybe different story, but even then. But again, a lot of other people have responsibilities, right? I'm pretty sure there's people who have families and children that they have to take care of and such. So with that said, there's also people with disabilities that play Pokemon. Now, with that said, that means that these are people who are going to be struggling in order to get any Pokemon, really, right? Like if they have disabilities that kind of prevent them from leaving their homes or going very far from home, then they're really not going to be able to participate in a lot of raids. They'll be able to catch Pokemon in their area, sure, but they're not going to be able to go down the block and go battle a Lugia, right? And they're, especially again, if there's not a lot of people out there doing the raid already, they're not going to be able to do that raid by themselves. So it creates a lot of issues here with the community. And another region, and I say region, I don't know why I say it like that, but another area that people struggle is going to be not just really the suburbs, but rural areas, right? Where there's not going to be a ton of gyms. So I feel like, you know, they need to, first of all, they should change it up where rural areas can maybe get more, not necessarily just more gyms, but maybe more raids going on, right? But yeah, that's going to be an issue because people that are in rural areas don't really have access to a lot of gyms. And then once a raid happens, you know, it's going to be, I don't want to say a guessing game, but I guess that would be the right word, in order for them to go and get to that raid and complete it, right? So it creates a struggle, again, for people that live in those areas. It's a struggle for people who have disabilities. It's a struggle for people who have a lot of responsibilities. So that is currently just the situation that's going on. Again, the limit of it being 5 is super disappointing. If it was 50, okay, sure, I suppose. And Niantic's reasoning really doesn't make sense at all. Again, the goal makes sense. Their goal is we want people to get out and play in person. That makes sense. I understand that. What doesn't make sense is sort of their response to this whole situation. They're saying that it's like both, like they're saying it's a big chunk of people that are using remote raids, but then they also say it's a small amount of people in the community that are using remote raids and is like messing up the game or something like that. Like, it doesn't really make sense at all for like how they're explaining it. Again, I understand the goal, but their explanations are just so back and forth of saying it's an issue, it's not an issue, it's an issue, it's not an issue, it's an issue, it's not an issue. They're not consistent with it, right? So what people are currently doing right now as like a, I guess, virtual digital strike, I guess, I'm not really sure, I guess just a strike in general, is people are turning off things like your GPS and your adventure sync. That's something that basically sends Niantic data that they could go ahead and use and sell and make money and profit off of it, right? So that's something that people are turning off, right? then another thing that they're doing is they're telling, within the community is a strike, is to not buy anything in the game, which I think they mean to say not any like real world currency. So don't buy Pokecoins. If there's like a starter box type deal, don't buy those, because that's just going to again, it's basically going to give them money. We're not trying to give them more money until they make these changes. Another one is to not do any raids, which, again, that can be kind of difficult, even for me, because I want to do raids whenever I can. But again, the reason why they're saying not to do raids is because that's, again, just going to give Niantic data that, okay, people are doing raids. So at the moment with the strike, if we do all these things, they're going to receive less data. They're going to receive less money, right? And of course, they say use the, keep the game to a minimum if you continue to play it, because again, that's just data. So basically, the best thing we're doing right now, or people are doing right now, is keep the game to a minimum, have these things off to prevent them from keeping more data and doing all this crazy stuff until eventually they fix it. I'm hoping that this is something that does work and that they do revert this, because then we can go back to doing a bunch of remote raids, do streams, create content, things like that. Other people will be able to go ahead and experience and play the game like they used to, instead of having to abide by these rules that is going on. It, again, doesn't really make sense for certain people who, again, can't do these things to now sort of be forced to do these things. So we'll have to see how things turn out. Again, just voicing my opinion and thought and letting you guys know that, hey, this is what's currently going on within Pokemon Go. Now, I will say that Pokemon or Niantic did give some more people access to the, what's it called? The Campfire app, which is basically a way for people to get in contact with other people in their areas. You set off a thing called a flare, and if anybody else has a Campfire app, they'll be notified so that they can decide whether or not they're going to join and participate, which is cool. But again, not everybody has access to that, and not everybody is going to be willing and doing all this stuff. And again, especially with everything going on, I don't expect a lot of people to really just be doing raids. There still might be quite a few people who still do raids and do in-person raids and whatnot. But again, I just don't know, just at least at the moment, I really just don't know where things are going to go. Because if it continues to go down this path of, hey, you need to go and play and do XYZ, we're going to see a massive reduce in the player base, and that's going to more or less kill the game, right? And if that kind of does kill the game, and they say, hey, we're going to shut it down or something like that, now I got a bunch of Pokemon that I have to transfer, right? And not even that, but some of the Pokemon, it probably wouldn't even matter, right? Like, if I transfer my Hundos over, like, are they still going to be Hundos in the games I transfer them to? Or are they only going to have perfect IVs in certain areas and not the rest, right? Like, there's so many questions I have. But I guess we'll just have to figure it out later in the future. I'm really hoping for the best with Pokemon Go. And with that said, hopefully this kind of was an insight for you guys. As always, please stay kind, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye, everyone.